Today on Can Haz Armory, how to rewire an epee blade. This is a big one. Okay, so here we go. So I have a brand new epee blade here. You notice it has the color coding on it, which I haven't used for a while. And that exists just as the anabolic grease coating. It's called Cosmoline. I think it's a mixture of Vaseline and oil on non-colored blades is when it comes from the factory. Its job is to minimize the blade rusting while it's waiting for sale. Even a raging steel blade, an FIE will rust a lot more slowly than carbon steel. But for terms of rewiring, you have to get that out. It counts as gunk in the blade. And any armorer will tell you the most important part of a rewire is getting the blade clean. Because the glue has to stick to the blade, not to whatever gunk's in the groove. So old glue, this color coating, dirt, dust, whatever, you need to stick to the metal, not to that stuff in the groove to minimize popping out and getting the wire broken. So I did shoot a video of me grinding this blade. I'm going to go to it right now. Stand by. Okay, so here I am grinding the stuff out. I use a Dremel diamond wheel. I'll put a link in the description. I think it's number 420. This wheel you can lay on the steel. It's not going to do any damage. It cuts, but not this stuff here. The fiberglass cutting wheel does cut this steel. This diamond wheel doesn't cut at all, but it's perfect for grinding a wire out. You're not going to grind to affect the flexibility, so it's perfectly legal. Been using it for years. Other armors do as well. I'm going a little faster here than I would on a blade where I'm actually grinding the glue out at a tournament because there's nothing in this groove but that protective coating. Here I'm now going toward the tip of it. And you can kind of see the silver sheen of the groove as I'm cleaning it. Also notice we turn the blade or the Dremel wheel back and forth in the groove to kind of get all sides of the groove, both sides, but to make the cleared parts as big as possible. More important in foil because of the nature of that groove, but epee doesn't hurt either. I'm wearing gloves because it gets hot, and when I switch grip like now, I'm not grabbing a hot blade, so I don't want to burn my hands. Now here I'm also going to bend back and go back and forth with the wheel to butterfly the tip out to minimize anything that might snag the wires as it goes through. So here's the after. So I'm walking down the blade. And you can see the sheen of the silver. Now the protective coatings were worn away. If you pull a blade out of acetone, you still have to grind the acetone residue out, and you'll have the same effect. You'll get that kind of grayish gone, and you'll see. Now you see the tip isn't quite butterflied the way it needed to be butterflied, which I'll get to later. Now I'm going to clean the blade with some rubbing alcohol and a few Q-tips. Just get all the gunk out of the groove, because it is pretty dirty. You want it as clean as possible. I'll do this several times. And what you really can't see very clearly is as I'm running down the blade, I'm also kind of rotating the Q-tip in my finger. It's an old draftsman's trick to keep the pencil sharp. You see me rolling right there as I'm going down. I'm doing that as I go down the blade, so I get more of the clean Q-tip on it until it gets all dirty. You get another Q-tip. And I think this is the last swipe I did. Yep. So now here's the before of the blade. You can see the color coding in the bottom of the groove. Here's the after. You can see the silver sheens showing through as I ground it away. And here's the butterfly tip, spread out a little more than it was before, so you can get rid of any of the burrs that may catch a point or catch the wires that comes through. It's kind of an important task in both foil and epee. Really helps to keep the wire from getting damaged. Okay, so for another look here, here's the blade. You can probably see the clear metal at the bottom. So let's start. Blade's already cleaned. I got my parts out. Get my tools ready here. So I use German tips exclusively. Had for years. Okay, so I've got the point. Take the screws out. More important, you don't lose the screws. Tips out, springs out. Okay, so there's the barrel. This particular barrel has no wire in it. Sometimes you get a blade that's got a wire cup in the bottom. Then I have my wires. I prefer all stars because the it strips easier when I'm getting ready to attach it. Unwrap the wire. Now think about the German wires. They have a silk wrap. So what I'm doing right now is just pulling through my fingers. I'm gonna make sure it's not wrapped in a loop because then it folds the wire in half. So now I'm gonna separate the wires, grab below the cup, and pull through. Again, just to straighten the wire. Okay. Together. And now comes the fun part. I'm going to twist these ends together a little bit. Makes it a little easier to go through the barrel. Sometimes getting it through is kind of hard. Let's see now. There's the hole. There it goes. Now it's through. And I'm going to put it on the barrel. Now you notice on the blade. Now you notice how much wire is hanging out here. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That's all I need for this step. Because as I'm screwing this on, if the wire pops up, it gets caught in the threads, it may cut the wire, which is no big, because I'm going to lose like that much wire anyway. So if I pull all the way through and then crank it down, I may catch the wire up at the barrel, up at the cup, and then it's toast. So this way, I can damage a part I'm not going to keep anyway. 6mm wrench grabs the flats real nicely. Make sure it's still moving. And that butterflying I did, and the tip makes it move nice and smooth. I'm not catching anything. Okay. How tight do I get it? I'm holding the blade here, one finger on the wrench, and as far as I can go. Okay, nice and snug. And again, it moves very smoothly, so it's not catching anything. Now, it is right there. Now, there are things called point setters. They're designed to fit into the barrel and push down and not hit the contacts. The problem is, well, they may push the wire down, they don't set the contacts. The problem we have is sometimes the contacts aren't level. You need to make sure they're level so they fire reliably. That's why I use a 3/32 flathead punch. I'm going to put it in against the tip, push the wire down, push the cup down, and pull the wire so it doesn't bunch up underneath it. It's all the way down, and take a hammer and give it a few taps. Adjust the camera a little bit here. Okay, a few taps. That's all I really need. And now I'm going to strip the wire a little bit, attach it to my test rig, which I'll show in a second here. Wrap my fingers so to hold on to it. A little sandpaper. Okay. And my lighter. I'm going to burn the wire, get all the varnish off, and you may see a secondary flame go that way as it burns off. And there it was. So what I did was burn off the interior varnish. There are 2 layers of insulation on German wires. You have the outer silk wrap. They have that varnish layer that is ideally supposed to minimize grounding to the blade if you get a wire stripped. If you don't do that, you're not going to make any contact. So I'm going to go over to my test rig. I'll show it in a second here. So I've got the wires on there. And I've got this alligator clip, which is going to go to the blade to show any grounding. So hang in, I'll shoot the other side. So here's the rest of the rig. You can see the wires are connected to these 2 alligator clips. This is red's A, B, black is B. And then the third one is the C line. Goes into a 3-prong outlet, goes right to my test box. So let's install the tip. Okay, so here's the weight going on. The weight is down. Fires light, hand off the weight lifts. That weight lifts, so that's good. Now I'm gonna put my gauge in and push down. That works there, doesn't work there. So I need to adjust the spring a little bit. Okay, so let's take this tip apart. See what the issue here is. And I know that that spring was down about as far as it can go. So it might be a case of I gotta cut the spring because it's a little too long. There's only so much space the tip can leave for the spring to go down. Let's try this again. So let's see. Yeah, it's still failing. Okay, let's take a look at the spring real quick. But because it's so small, I need to pull out my loop. It's 10 power magnifying glass. Magnifying loop, actually. Arc a bit on my head. Because even the board needed an armorer. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, you can't see it, but I'm starting to see the spring get bunched up. So I'm going to put a new one on, take this and pull it off. I know I have to cut it. Before I do, I got to find the right side of the spring. There actually is the right side. If it's ground flat, that's the side that goes against the contacts. If there's an uneven one, like they didn't grind it flat, there's a little bit of end of the wire sticking out, that goes into the tip. So it's as flat to the contacts as possible. Let's see now. That's good. Okay, that's the sticky outside. So it's oriented right. Now I get to put this on. This is where the loop really helps, by the way. Unfortunately, I can't do a shot of this. Oh, I got to cut it shorter. Hang on, my bad. I'm going to cut like 1 thread off of this. Okay, now I can put it on. You're going to cut 2 off to make sure you have enough length to reach the contacts. Go on. There it goes. Okay, now what's going on? Take the loop up here. Firing. And there we go. Now I can put the screws back in. And there we have it, all set. Okay, this is the test. So, first shim test, nothing. And second shim test, after the screws, nothing. Hey, so the last video shot, I didn't realize the camera was not filming this step. So we're gonna lay the groove really wire in the groove, and try to secure it down for gluing. So I have the blade here, got masking tape, and 2 wraps of masking tape. First one is around the tang, and its job is to give the wire something to hold on to, but also to protect the wire from the threads on the tang, because I want to strip it away. So there's that. This is obviously a curved tang, which will be in a different video. Second line of masking tape. Leave the hair for the time being. Now I'm going to go to the front of the blade, make sure the wires are not crossing over each other, straighten them back. And they are coming straight out of the barrel. Try to make sure they don't cross over too many times, because the braid goes under the glue. So here it is here. I'm going to lay it in the groove, and I'm going to tug a little bit, not yank on it, just a nice amount of pressure on it. You see pulling it kind of here to tighten the wire a bit. So when I bend the blade, it'll pull down to the groove. Now I'm going to wrap the tape around it, secure it in place, make sure that the wire is actually in the groove. Wrap it around the tang. And it's all to keep the wire taut. And then wrap the tape around it. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the extremities down. I'll do the back end, I'll do the front end first. I always start with the front. And there's the front. And the reason I tack the extremities down first is to make sure that they're not going to go anywhere, but also if there's any residual accelerator on the wires, if I put in a bending jig, if glue runs down it may hit that accelerator and stop before it gets into the tip. So the glue bottle's ready. One glue at the front inch or so. Okay, and this bottle got a little jammed up, so let me clear it real quick. Problem with super glue is the nozzles get clogged, which is what I have this tool for. It was a screwdriver. I sharpened it to a point. Do that. Pulls the plug out. It's also helpful for pulling out, pushing out wire cups out of barrels, because the screwdriver sometimes won't be able to push all the way out. Much better. There is more glue. Okay, glue's coming out. And I'm going to get a little bit of accelerator on this Q-tip. A big bottle of it. Now, what I'm going to do is take a screwdriver and push the wire down gently. I'm not going to put a whole lot of pressure on it. Hold down the groove, run the accelerator on it, and that glue is now set. Now go to the back end, which is a little more of a problem at times because the angle of the groove comes up and there's a little more play. You see the wire moving. So again, we're going to lay the wire down. This one goes back of the groove and a little bit into the main groove. Now again, it's not pushed down against the blade. I want to do that, so accelerate on the other Q-tip and the Q-tip. I'm going to push this one down from the back side, so just behind the shoulder. Push the wire down. Make sure you got both wires, and I'll push it in the groove. And now I'm going to put down here and then run it down here where it's actually in the groove itself. And you'll feel it as the glue hardens and sets. You'll feel it a little more slick. There. Now that is tacked down, and now I can go to the rest of the gluing and wiring process. Here's the blade of my bending jig. It is a aluminum cap, about a 1-inch cap with a hole drilled in for the chain hook into, and it runs down. Same thing on the other side. You can see where the tip is in this side here. Bends like a bow, and over to this side in there as well. There are 3 different lengths. This current length here, this is for a number 5 blade French length tang, which this is. But I have a mark. This is for number 5 pistol tang, or a number 2 French, and this one is for a number 2 pistol. So it's all bent in the boat. This purpose is to pull the wires down into the groove. I'm going to put my vise now. Okay, that's in. Now, I'm going to run a bead of glue from the tip all the way down to the base down here, and then use the accelerator to set it, and a Kleenex to wipe the excess off. This is a lot easier with a epee because of the shape of the groove. Foil is a little more hard because it's a much thinner groove. But here we go. And part of the key is to look at the sheen of the glue, make sure it's coming out. Also, that it doesn't have any bubbles in it, which make it do it to a wire pop out. That's why you don't go really fast. You go slow enough for the glue to get out. You don't need a gigantic amount of glue. You don't need to fill the groove up. You just need enough to make sure it's going to hold the wire down. In fact, too much is actually a bad thing. Too much actually makes it weaker bond. There's that. And now I'm going to spray the accelerator down. Spray's not working too well. Well, it's also a reason why I have the Kleenex here, because it picked up some of that accelerator. Let's wipe it down the blade. Get into the groove, make sure it's set. And I'd use the Kleenex to kind of smooth anything out, so I don't get big lumps in it, but also so that I can push the wire into the glue into the groove. Now, that should be set. Take it out of the bending jig, and I'm going to bend it backwards and see if I have any wire pop outs. So groove is up, bent backwards, and we're looking on the length of the blade here. I see no wire pop outs. That's good. Now I'm also feeling for any excess glue. Might need to get off. A few spots, which means I need this nice little scraper. Go down the edge of the blade, see if any excess glue comes off. More of a problem with foil. Okay. And one more thing, when it's done, retract this. That is to get a metal finishing pad from 3M. It's like a Scotch-Brite. And it's good on the blade. You need a nice little bit of schmutz off there. Feel for it. Get the thumb off. Okay, blade's wired, but we're not done yet. Stand by. Okay, now we have the last step, which is stripping the wires, putting the spaghetti on. So unwrap the top layer of tape. Its job is done. Unwrap the wires. Again, this is gonna be a stock blade, so that's gonna stay. Otherwise, I take it off. Sandpaper to strip it, and the grit I use is 220. You don't want it too rough because it'll damage the wire. You want to make sure it takes it off. So I'm just here. So I strip the wire off. There it goes. One reason I like all stars is they strip easy. Now, I don't need to strip all of it off because I'm not going to use all of it off. So basically, I stripped it from about 2 inches above, inch and a half, 2 inches above the shoulder to up as high as I want to go. And the reason is, if when you're fencing, you have a wire break off at the socket, you got to put it back on right away. So I'm giving you, even though the spaghetti wire may go to here, down here is still clear to go. You just take it off, pop it, put it back on. It's real easy, but it's not ready to go yet. Now I got to burn it off. And hopefully you can see. There we are. Burn both wires. Probably should flame it a little bigger. That's because of the varnish layer burning off. Okay, and then so one more time to put the last of the schmutz off of it, because there will be residue. Okay, now you have spaghetti wire. Spaghetti tubing, you know what we're going to call it. Epee, it's one line per sheath. Is that one? There's that. And because this will be a stock blade, I'm going to wrap around the tang. And secure the last little bit, if you can find it. There it is. With some electrical tape. It's all protected. It's all down. It's ready to go. And that is how you wire an epee blade. Happy armoring.